Two legends, one epic showdown, a friendship that changed martial arts forever. But what really happened between Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee? Were they rivals battling for supremacy, or brothers in arms united by a shared passion? And what did Chuck Norris say when the world lost Bruce Lee at just 32? Welcome back to Raw and Real, where we dive deep into the stories that shaped pop culture. Today, we're unpacking the incredible relationship between Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, their friendship, their legendary fight, and the untold truth behind Bruce's tragic death. Did their Coliseum clash reveal a hidden rivalry? Could Chuck have matched Bruce's speed in a real fight? Stick around, because you won't believe what we've uncovered. To understand the Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee connection, we need to go back to the 1960s. A time when martial arts were exploding in America. Picture this. Kung Fu was still a mystery to most, and Hollywood was just waking up to its potential. Enter two men destined to change everything. Bruce Lee was a force of nature. Born in San Francisco in 1940, raised in Hong Kong, he was a child actor turned martial arts prodigy. By the 1960s, he was in Hollywood, playing Kato in The Green Hornet and teaching stars like Steve McQueen his revolutionary style, Jeet Kune Do. Bruce wasn't just fast. He was a philosopher, blending martial arts with ideas of adaptability and simplicity. But here's a question. Did Bruce's charisma make him untouchable, or was there someone who could stand toe-to-toe with him? Meanwhile, Chuck Norris was carving his own path. Born in 1940 in Oklahoma, Chuck was a shy kid who found strength in martial arts. By the late 1960s, he was a Tang Soo Do master and a six-time world professional middleweight karate champion. Chuck wasn't flashy like Bruce. He was a powerhouse, all about precision and raw strength. But could a champion like Chuck ever match Bruce's cinematic flair? Let's find out how their paths crossed. It was the late 1960s, and Los Angeles was the place to be for martial artists. Chuck was teaching celebrities at his dojo, while Bruce was training Hollywood's elite. They likely met at a tournament or through mutual contacts, maybe even at a Hollywood event. Picture two titans sizing each other up, not with ego, but with respect. Chuck later said Bruce was unlike anyone he'd ever met. Fast, focused, and full of ideas. So what happened when these two started training together? Was it all harmony, or was there a spark of competition? Here's where it gets juicy. Bruce and Chuck weren't just colleagues. They became friends, training together, swapping techniques, and pushing each other to new heights. But here's a question for you. Could their friendship handle the pressure of a Hollywood showdown? Let's dive into their biggest moment together. It's 1972, and Bruce Lee is at the peak of his powers. He's directing and starring in The Way of the Dragon, his third major film. And who does he cast as the ultimate villain? None other than Chuck Norris. This wasn't just a casting choice, it was a statement. Bruce wanted the best, and Chuck was it. But why did Bruce choose Chuck? And what went into creating their legendary fight scene? Bruce's vision for The Way of the Dragon was bold, a martial arts epic set in Rome, with his character Tang Lung facing off against a deadly American fighter named Colt, played by Chuck. The setting? The Coliseum, a gladiator's arena. Bruce wanted this fight to be unforgettable, a clash of styles East versus West. But here's a question. Was Bruce setting up Chuck as a rival, or was this a tribute to their friendship? The Coliseum fight is pure magic. 10 minutes of raw, unfiltered martial arts. Bruce's Jeet Kune Do, with its fluid strikes and kicks, against Chuck's Tang Soo Do, all power and precision. Here's the kicker. They choreographed it together, mostly improvising on set. Chuck later said Bruce would call out moves like a director, saying, "Okay, Chuck, hit me here, then I'll counter like this." It was a dance, not a duel. But could two alpha martial artists really work without egos clashing? What do you think? This fight wasn't just about punches and kicks. It was a showcase of trust. Bruce and Chuck trusted each other to make every move look real without hurting each other. But let's talk facts. Bruce was known for his speed, clocking punches at fractions of a second. Chuck was a powerhouse, breaking boards with raw force. So who would win in a real fight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. When The Way of the Dragon hit theaters, the Coliseum fight blew minds. Fans were screaming, "Did Chuck almost beat Bruce?" It put Chuck Norris on the map as a Hollywood star and cemented Bruce's legacy as the king of martial arts films. But here's a question. Did this fight make Chuck a star, or was it Bruce's genius that carried the scene? Let's look at what happened next. Beyond the cameras, Bruce and Chuck were more than co-stars. They were friends. They trained in Bruce's backyard, sparring and sharing ideas. Chuck said Bruce was like a brother, always pushing him to think bigger. But what was their friendship really like? And did it have any cracks? Picture this. Bruce's dojo in LA, sweat dripping, punches flying. Bruce would show Chuck his Jeet Kune Do moves, emphasizing flow and adaptability. Chuck would counter with Tang Soo Do's hard-hitting techniques. They weren't trying to one-up each other, they were learning. Chuck later said, Bruce was so fast you'd blink and miss his punch. But here's a question. Did Chuck ever feel overshadowed by Bruce's star power? Bruce wasn't just a fighter. He was a thinker. His philosophy of don't think, feel, and be like water resonated with Chuck, who was more reserved but equally disciplined. They'd talk for hours about martial arts as a way of life. Chuck said Bruce's ideas changed how he saw fighting, not just as combat, but as self-expression. So what made their bond so special? Was it their shared love for martial arts, or something deeper? Here's where it gets real. Bruce and Chuck weren't just about fame. They were about pushing the limits of what martial arts could be. But tragedy was around the corner. What happened when Bruce Lee left the world too soon? And how did Chuck react? Stay with us. July 20th, 1973, Hong Kong. The world woke up to heartbreaking news. Bruce Lee, the Dragon, was gone at just 32. The official cause? Cerebral edema, a swelling of the brain. But the mystery surrounding his death sparked rumors. Drugs, poisoning, even a curse. For Chuck Norris, it was personal. He'd lost a friend. So what did Chuck say, and how did he honor Bruce's legacy? Bruce's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. Fans were devastated, and the martial arts community was in mourning. Chuck Norris, like many, was stunned. He'd just worked with Bruce a year earlier, and now his friend was gone. But here's a question. How do you process losing someone who seemed invincible? Let's look at what Chuck said. Chuck didn't make a big public statement right away. Grief isn't always loud. But in the years that followed, he opened up. In his 2004 autobiography, Against All Odds, Chuck wrote, Bruce was a genius in martial arts, a phenomenal talent, and a great friend. His vision changed how the world saw martial arts, and his death was a tragedy that left a void. In interviews, he called Bruce's speed unreal and his philosophy revolutionary. Chuck didn't dwell on rumors about Bruce's death. He focused on his life. But what do you think Chuck felt in private? Did he ever share more than he let on? Chuck's words show a man who respected Bruce deeply, but he kept it classy, avoiding the gossip that swirled around Bruce's death. So why didn't Chuck say more at the time? Was he protecting his friend's legacy, or was he just too heartbroken? Let us know your thoughts below. Bruce's death sparked endless theories, a drug reaction, a triad hit, even a supernatural curse tied to his family. Chuck stayed out of it, never fueling the speculation. He later said, I don't care about the rumors. I care about what Bruce stood for. But here's a question. Did Chuck know something he never shared? Or was he just honoring his friend by staying silent? Bruce Lee's death didn't end his influence or his connection with Chuck Norris. Chuck carried the torch, becoming a star in his own right. But how did their friendship shape Chuck's career? And how does their legacy live on today? After The Way of the Dragon, Chuck Norris became a household name. Films like The Octagon and An Eye for an Eye showed his martial arts prowess, but he always credited Bruce for opening the door. Chuck said, "Bruce showed me what was possible in film." But here's a question. Would Chuck have become a star without Bruce's push? What do you think? Bruce Lee became a legend, with Enter the Dragon releasing just weeks after his death. His philosophy in films inspired generations, from Jackie Chan to the UFC. Chuck often spoke about Bruce's vision, saying, "He made martial arts a global language." But how did their Coliseum fight change action movies forever? Let's break it down. The Coliseum fight set a new standard for action choreography: realistic, intense, and emotional. Directors like John Woo and stunt coordinators still study it. Chuck said, "That fight was Bruce's vision, but we built it together." So why does this scene still give us chills? Is it the skill, the chemistry, or something else? Chuck and Bruce didn't just make a movie, they made history. Their friendship showed what happens when two legends work together, not against each other. But here's one last question. Could anyone today recreate the magic of Chuck and Bruce? Drop your thoughts, and let's keep this conversation going. Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee weren't just fighters. They were pioneers, friends, and inspirations. Their Coliseum showdown wasn't about who won. It was about showing the world what martial arts could be. Chuck's words after Bruce's death remind us of the Dragon's impact, and their bond lives on in every kick, punch, and action scene we love today. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey. If you loved diving into Chuck and Bruce's story, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into pop culture legends. Who should we cover next? Let us know in the comments.